Hi, this is Joe Davis with GotBaseballCards.com. I'm a lifelong sports card collector and hobby veteran for over 30 years. We are very excited to offer you this channel to provide you the finest in sports card news and entertainment. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, and welcome back to Sports Cards with Joe.
And Chuck.
And if you're wondering where Doug is, he's on vacation this week. So we brought in a pinch hitter, Chuck Oliver. Great to have you in the studio today, Chuck. And many of you know Chuck from years and years of broadcasting all over the Southeast. Tell us everything you're doing nowadays, Chuck.
Radio, TV, digital. So back to you, Joe.
Yeah.
No, it's a big blessing. I make my living watching college football and then talking about college football. Syndicated show every day, 11 to 1, 9 states, 55 sticks, and then I host Afternoon Drive in Atlanta as well every afternoon, 2 to 6. And so it's a busy schedule. But I do make time for card collecting, and I tell you what, man, football season has derailed the podcast a little bit. We've had about a 2-month break on this, 2.5-month break, really, since the beginning of the season on the collector and the dealer. But we got a couple that are going to be back in the hopper pretty soon, and so we'll get back to it as we get closer to the Christmas holidays.
Yeah, for those who've never listened, Chuck and I do have had a regular podcast, The Collector and the Dealer, and we've both been a little slammed the last few months.
Yeah, it seems that in the South, people kind of like college football. So I know you've got viewers everywhere, though, on the YouTube channel, overseas, America, everywhere. And so, but I wanted to come by to the shop today and get your input on something. I have a nephew, 7 years old.
All right.
And for Christmas time, I've been thinking about, he actually has shown some interest in cards. And so as I've been opening some newer product, what I wanted to do is kind of feed him some, and he's a big Braves fan, so some Freddie Freeman, Okuna, whomever. But now he's starting to kind of want his own. And I remember, Joe, that like you and I are basically the same age. We started collecting in 1976, and I remember I would get like 2 packs of cards. I would only know, honestly, like 3 or 4 players: Reggie, Pete Rose, maybe Phil Niekro.
Right.
But the fun part to me was I wanted to organize them, and you know this. Every single when you first start. But we were limited because in 1976, for instance, you could organize them only 2 ways: numerically, 1 through 660, or, all right, I'm going to do them all by teams, and then you put them in teams. And then you put them in your album, then you take them out of the album, and so that was the fun part. And you just want to do it over and over and over, but you quickly run out of ways to organize them. I'm getting him Topps Archives blasters, a couple of them, because he's 7, and it'll hold his interest plenty.
Right.
The cool part about this is when you open it up, it's got the 57s, the 62s, the 73s. It's got 7 different years, plus some of the cool peel-off, the insert, homage to that. So you may open a pack with 8 cards, and for a 7-year-old boy, there may be 4 or 5 or 6 different ways to organize all these different things.
Right.
So I think Topps Archives, in addition to being pretty affordable, I think it's a great gift for somebody, a kid just now getting into it, because it'll hold their interest in so many different ways.
Yeah, I opened a couple of the hobby boxes like these, and I even pulled some of these 2091 Topps. The 70 years in the future. And so getting him some of those, I think he'll have lots of fun with that. And you can tell him all about, the old school days. Well, you're right, because all I did was I had my little notebook, and I would put them in numerical order, and I'm like, I'm going to put all the Reds together and all the Braves together. And so I wonder why all the cards are VGX by the time, 2 years later, because I had pulled them in and out so many times. And so, but that's great. I love products that can engage young collectors, and Archives is still actually affordable relative compared to a lot of the stuff out on the market nowadays.
And I've been an outlier myself, because when Joe and I started the podcast about 1.5 years ago, if I wasn't 100% vintage, it was because I was like 2% pre-war. And I actually tried Allen and Ginter last summer, and then got a case. And then what I wanted was Gypsy Queen. And you gave me good counsel. You're like, Chuck, financially, if you buy, it was 2020 Gypsy Queen, which basically debuted at about, I don't know, 110, 120 a box. And then when the pandemic happened, it basically doubled. And so it went up to about 200 a box. You're like, it's a fun open, Chuck, if you want to do it, but financially, it's not supposed to be a $2,000 case.
No.
And so I waited until this year, got Gypsy Queen, and it was fantastic. But that's for me as an adult. I realized that if I give him even a hobby box of Gypsy Queen, it's just this wash of one type of card. And I was like, Archives is going to be perfect because there's built-in different stacks. And that's all you want when you're 7. You want stacks.
Yes.
I want to be able to organize. And so I think Archives is going to be fantastic for him. And like I said, I can get a blaster. I mean, those are $30 maybe. And get him a couple of them, and he'll just be the happiest kid ever.
Yeah. So. And what's cool is it helps kids learn, or any adults too. Like right on the front of the hobby box, you've got a 73 Acuna, and you've got a 57 Kershaw design. A 62 Cabrian Hayes, a 2011 Dahlbeck. So there's all the different designs. So you can learn a little bit of history of tops and old designs at the same time. So I know you're buying some Archives today.
I'm getting a case of Archives for myself.
Yeah.
Hobby boxes. Kids getting blasters. I'm getting hobby boxes.
Yeah, you're getting the real stuff. So, what else you've been collecting lately, or what do you plan? I know you've been so busy, but any vintage pursuits going on right now? Any sets you're still working on finishing up, or
there really are, but I have gotten so drilled down on some of these. Like I'm putting together a '58 Hires root beer. With tabs, which of course you would have guessed. I mean, there's a way to make it more difficult. I'm gonna find it.
Yeah.
So 58 Hires root beers with tabs, which is not even a set people pursue. It's like I'm pursuing bond bread, aren't you?
Right.
Like it's not what you do. And then also, a lot of pre-war, the premiums that we've talked about before. At some point, I want to get into the Sporting Life premiums, but I don't know that I'll be able to afford those. But a lot of the mail-aways for the caramel companies, some of the Croft Cocoa that we've talked about before, obviously the Murads, the T51s. I really enjoy a lot of those mail-away premiums, the oversized cabinet cards, which, it is a very niche-specific drill-down sort of pursuit. But then the other side of it is, give me a case of 2021 Gypsy Queen and a case of Archives. And I've already ripped the entire case of Gypsy Queen, and I've had some hits, and I've sold some of the other pieces, and so it's just been fun. And I like the box topper, the 3-card chrome, and the Gypsy Queen. Archives has a box topper as well, the movie cards. So I've been collecting modern and from 1910. So that's what I've been doing.
All right, 1910.
Yeah.
Anybody particular, or teams, or just in general?
Oh, just the Murads.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, the T51s. So.
Very cool. So I know. Let's talk about grading for a minute. Yep. I know you just got one back. Still, I think you've still got more out there.
I still have some that we're still waiting from. I believe last November from PSA. But they're
so yours should be getting close because we've been hitting about that 1 year mark.
I've known Joe. Everybody who listens, we've known Joe forever. And so last September, I finally, for the first time in 20 years, said, all right, I'm going to send the PSA. And so Joe harvested and sent off and, took the cream off the top. And so you did it in about 4 or 5 different orders. And so they started coming back in staggered amounts because I had tons of albums. And so I've been getting them back, and I still think I may have another 20 or 30 cards still outstanding, but I've been getting them back, and it's been sort of, I don't want to say validation because I knew I could grade a card, but I also realized that more than anything else, centering. I guess all 4 are created equal. Centering is more equal in the eyes of the grading company, I believe. And I didn't have the proper understanding of that when I got back in 2013. But I've had a real good experience. I really have. And I've gotten back some 9. You get a PSA 9 Sonny Siebert from 1967 tops. Okay, somebody wants to pay you $175 for that card. They really do.
For a $2 common.
Yeah. And so I've gotten bunches of 8s and 7s. And when you're dealing with the 1966 Scalar Perry, and it's a 7.
Big money.
Dang right it is.
Yeah.
And even the 66 Maze, which is card number 1 in that set.
Which is almost I've owned so many of those in collections, and that they're like always creased.
Absolutely.
There's always, even if they'd been put in a notebook and people they'd turn the page and they'd bend it, because it's, I like anytime those come in, I just assume, well, there's another PSA 3 or PSA 2, you just don't see.
Or you get back and it's a 7.5 and you're like, okay, that doesn't suck.
Jackpot. Yeah.
And so I got the PSA. This was my first mail day. My very first mail day actually in 21 years was 67 Mantle was an 8. The 67 Seaver was a 7, and the Carew rookie I bought it as a 7, cracked it out, and it came back as a 6. And so, who knows what happened, if anything. My fat thumbs could have
or a different grader. Different grader looked at it.
Exactly. But I've had a real positive experience to this point, and when you pay, can I be crass and talk money?
Sure.
when you pay $600 for a mantle back in the day, and then it's an 8 and you can sell it for about $3,500.
It's a good investment.
The math kind of works, and so it kind of justifies being able to put that money right back into a case of whatever else.
Exactly.
Makes it easier.
Pays for a lot more grading too.
It really does.
And so, like everybody else, you're still waiting, and we're on here often telling people like we're doing everything we can to get them back, and it is. We've seen PSA, we've seen the load, go from I think their peak was about 13 million, and it's down to a few million, whatever that. I don't know the exact number, but
by the way, if you do business with Joe, I can testify. I was just in his office. He got stacks of stuff coming in every single day from PSA. So your cards are on the way, I promise.
Yeah. Yep, they are. We just checked in 2 big orders this morning and for customers, and already sent emails out. So, because as I tell people, when they send them in raw to us, they don't sit here long. When they come back slabbed, they don't sit here long.
Yeah.
We want them out the door as quickly as possible. We do not sit on customers' cards at all. So, what's your holiday plans?
Actually, on the 20th, my wife and I are going. We haven't, like most people, been kind of close to home, and so on the 20th of December, wife and I are going to St. Lucia, which I think is about a 4.5-hour plane ride from here. And so I'm gonna have toes in the sand, staring at waves for 5 days.
Awesome.
And they do have cable, which means I can watch the bowl games.
Yeah.
I still have to be literate when I come back.
Oh yeah.
And so I'll be back on, I think the Christmas is a Saturday, and so I'll be back on the air that following Monday, the 27th.
Okay.
And then I'm doing color on the Chick-fil-A Bowl as well, so I'll be down there for that. But it's all blessings, and it's an awesome job to have, but it does keep you busy, especially during fall.
Oh, yeah. And so, all right, speaking college football, you are the college football king, so got to get your predictions on tape. Final Four.
Well, Final One is going to be Georgia.
It's kind of a given, yeah.
I mean, it's just.
Now, let's just talk Georgia for a minute. I mean,
I've been able to score.
Yeah, I was only 12 years old when they won their first one, or when they won it in '80, and still remember Herschel, still remember it well. But I'm appreciating this year even more. It's just like when the Braves just won. I appreciate it a lot more than I did in '95 because I was still in my 20s. You can't take it for granted.
It'll happen over and over.
Yeah, you're like we're a dynasty, and then suddenly, 26 years later, like. Okay, we finally got another shot. So I thoroughly enjoyed this one. Same way this year for Georgia. I'm enjoying it, and what a defense.
And that is so unusual in college football today. And you're right. I mean, we were like 5th or 6th graders, and now we're getting AARP stuff in the mailbox. And Georgia is now finally back with a chance to win a national championship. So it does give you a little perspective about that. I think Georgia, if I was at the window and I'm going to hand over a $100 bill, I'm going to have to bet on somebody. Georgia has got to be the pick right now. Alabama can win in Atlanta next weekend. I just don't think they're going to. Alabama's a really flawed team, and they've got issues on the offensive line. It's like where you start at left tackle with Evan Neal. He's one of the best in America. Literally, every spot as you start moving towards the right tackle, the quality of play goes down. And it's just really, really tough over there. Bryce Young, I mean, the pocket's become a shooting gallery, for gosh sakes. And so that kid's taking a lot of hits. So I don't think Bama makes it out of Atlanta. So Ohio State can beat Georgia. They really can. They're not great on defense, and Georgia is, but they can do it. And so Georgia, I think Georgia will be 1. I think Ohio State will be 2. I think that maybe Notre Dame will be 3 and Cincinnati will be 4. Cincinnati beat them head-to-head. As you go week to week, the committee will tell you head-to-head matters less and less because it's supposed to be the entire resume. And so a head-to-head win in like week 3, in week 14, that doesn't have. There's so much more that has been added, and that's from the committee standpoint.
Right. So you think Cincinnati gets in regardless of the poor strength of schedule?
5 and go, all right, enjoy playing Georgia. You sure you want in? Because if you can either lose to Georgia in the first round, or you can go to the Sugar Bowl and maybe win a pretty good bowl game.
Right.
And so they're going to. I think the group of 5 will get their shot this year, and they won't win. And then you'll have Georgia and Ohio State in the national championship game.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of my. Don't think no surprise when Michigan and Ohio State play.
I don't believe so. I don't think that Michigan doesn't have the firepower to keep up. My gosh, that's just in a few days.
Yeah.
That's Saturday, so high noon on Saturday, and so I don't think Michigan has the octane.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we got you on camera with your pick. I would differ, but that's the same score. I'm just figuring you're going to get in there. So certainly Georgia, Ohio State. Yeah, I think that's going to be a great. If it all plays out, I think that would be a great national championship game. So, and go Dogs, and so very excited. So it's been great having you in the studio, Chuck, and we look forward to more podcasting together in the new year and whatever else we have. And so we appreciate all of you tuning in today. Chuck, let everybody know where they can follow you on your Twitter and everywhere.
Twitter is KingCFB, and then from there you can listen online to the radio show if you're a college football fan or just a sports fan in general. So it's what I do. It ain't a real job, but people seem to enjoy it.
Yep. So we both get to run our mouths. I get to do it occasionally. You get to do it all day long.
Exactly.
So yeah, great having you in the studio. And thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will see you next time here. Signing off for Joe.
And Chuck.
At Got Baseball Cards. Thanks, everybody.